if anybody insults the president or insults anyone in power right now, before you know, maybe the DSS will find you. Now, terrorists are content creators. Somebody was even making fun of it that they're even doing giveaway. And yet, we don't know what to do. Is that even tenable? But the most important part is that the government now did not have to be very honest with the people. Sometimes we feel government is not very honest. And that ego has to fall off the cliff so that all of us can come together and solve this national crisis we're dealing with. So one of the things we hear, and it's a sorry story most of the time, and sometimes, of course, most of the time is dismissed by the hierarchy of the military or the DHQ. We've heard complaints. One of the things I have heard over and over again, in fact, there was a recent video where we hear communities say, we know they are coming, and then we're being attacked, and we reach out to the military, they are not reacting. Or sometimes we notify them, or they see these people passing, and they are not doing anything. In fact, the recent one I heard was that the community said they were attacked, so they, more like reprisal, attacking the bandits or whoever they are, and then the military, according to them, came, and then there was a shooting spree. Some of their people died. So their argument is to the effect that they are a bit empathetic. Some of these guys are empathetic to these outlaws. That is the allegation against some of our military men.
In this Kwara issue, 38 victims kidnapped. None of them have told us that they were attacked in the camp or anything. They said they just came out and said you people should go, and they went somewhere and they picked them in the buses. The DSS picked them in their buses and they took them to the government house. So there's no report of them attacking anybody, attacking the terrorists, because they are more than 30. So they are not just kidnappers, they are terrorists who evaded Kwara State, all right? So there is no report of the security agencies, attacking them. So what it means is that the government are in touch with these people, who are kidnapping these the victims. So it's like we are romancing with these kidnappers. Like when they kidnap, we negotiate with them, money exchange hand, and they release them. They still go back again. They have more money to acquire more arms that they are going to use again for the next community. It continues. It continues. Like what the former the professor was saying. They have equipment that can be used for all these things, which we have already experimented on several times in Delta. In Delta today, you have not heard about any attack in Delta today. It's because some equipment was used to track these kidnappers who uses our forest as a hideout. So
Nigerians are confused sometimes and it's almost unbelievable that people will come and abduct 20, 30, so look at the one in Niger, over 200 or so, or 300 people, including primary school children, and move them. And the Nigerian state will say they don't know. You know what it means to move 200 people one time? With all the technology we have. So my question is, if anybody insults the president or insults anyone in power right now, before you know, maybe the DSS will find you. Now, terrorists are content creators. Somebody was even making fun of it that they're even doing giveaway. And yet, we don't know what to do. Is that even tenable?
How did over 200 people were kidnapped from a Catholic school in Niger State, and they were moved across states, and the security agencies are helpless? These are questions that we'll continue to ask.
When Peter Obi said that we are finished as a nation, a lot of people became very uncomfortable. Many Nigerians reacted with anger, saying he was damaging the country's image, making things look worse than they really were, or discouraging the people. But the truth is that sometimes reality is so painful that even describing it honestly feels offensive. And when you take a deeper and more sincere look at what is happening in Nigeria right now, you begin to understand that Peter Obi wasn't trying to embarrass the country. He was pointing out something many people already knew deep down, that something is fundamentally wrong with the direction of the nation. Because think about it carefully. How do you explain the kind of security situation we have today? How do you justify the fact that terrorists in Nigeria now operate boldly and confidently, as if they are untouchable? These are individuals who should be hiding, running, and afraid of the law. Instead, they have social media accounts. They post videos, they go live, they upload clips of their activities, sometimes even boasting about what they have done. They openly show their faces without fear. And yet, the Nigerian government, with all its intelligence units, all its tracking systems, all its security agencies, tells us they cannot locate these individuals. They cannot trace them. They cannot shut down their operations. It simply does not make sense. But at the same time, you see ordinary Nigerians, people who post harmless comments online, being arrested within hours for supposedly insulting the presidency or criticizing government officials. It raises serious questions. It makes people wonder whether the government truly lacks capacity or whether it simply chooses what to pursue. Because if security agencies can track someone who made a comment on Facebook, then surely they should be able to track people who are openly posting videos from the bush. How do we also explain a country where terrorists can kidnap dozens, sometimes hundreds of citizens, students, women, children, entire communities, and move them across long distances, yet the government keeps saying they don't know where these victims are? In a world where technology can trace a phone anywhere on the planet, we are told that hundreds of human beings can vanish without a trace. It is almost unbelievable. It defeats logic. It is something that should concern every single Nigerian, whether you support Peter Obi or not. It also makes you ask deeper questions about leadership, accountability, and priorities. Because every time these tragedies occur, we hear the same cycle of official responses: condemnations, press releases, committees, promises of investigations, and then silence until the next shocking incident happens. It becomes a painful pattern, and it leaves citizens feeling helpless. So when Peter Obi spoke those words, he was not speaking out of anger or bitterness. He was speaking from a place of concern. He was sounding an alarm. He was reminding Nigerians that pretending everything is fine will not solve anything. Many people misunderstood him at the time because sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. But when you look at the insecurity, the economic struggles, the rising tension, and the government's inability to handle basic security issues, you start to realize that his statement was not an exaggeration at all. It was a reflection of the reality we are living in. Nigeria cannot continue like this. A nation cannot grow when criminals operate more boldly than law enforcement. A country cannot progress when citizens live in fear. And a society cannot thrive when life seems to have little value. We need leadership that prioritizes the safety of citizens, uses technology effectively, strengthens intelligence gathering, and treats insecurity as the emergency that it truly is. Because until that happens, the warning Peter Obi gave will continue to reflect the truth about our situation. Not because he wanted to discourage us, but because the nation desperately needs a change of direction.